Let's go on to the next one here. This is about getting structured. Now, I probably don't need to do that with you guys. I mean, you guys get structuring up to your eyeballs with me. But structuring is very, very important. You know, as we heard yesterday when Ian was talking with Mark and Amanda about the boarding houses and how that man had all of his properties with the one bank, that bank ruined him. He wasn't in arrears. He wasn't in default. You know, he had great cash flow, but it ruined him because they wanted to do a revaluation, and the valuation came in short because they valued it at land value as opposed to a boarding house. They didn't recognise that. Now that's all it takes. So I cannot stress enough, get rid of cross securitisation. Make sure each one of the properties is in a separate ownership structure, because you know, then there is no immediate crossover from one to the other. You've got separation of the assets. You've got separation of the loans. No one ever controls you completely, and that's really, really important in particularly today's society, particularly with our banking system as it is right now. So that structuring is absolutely paramount. And when you're doing deals with other people, again, how you put those deals together, every deal's going to be a little bit different. Never, ever, ever go into a deal unless you've got the paperwork sorted. You know, make sure it doesn't matter how the deal's coming together and we've got to settle on such and such, we haven't signed off on this and we haven't done that. Don't buy the deal. You know, don't go into the deal until all the paperwork is absolutely signed, sealed, everybody's happy, everybody knows exactly what it is, no matter how much external pressure there may be otherwise. Anything else you want to add on that?
That's a good mouthful.
Yeah.
What I love is, you know, as you know, that we've got joint students between us. When students have done your stuff and they come to my stuff, I don't have to think about it because it's all done.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
They won't be going into that sort of thing without their structures in place, otherwise they've got me to deal with.
I'll send them back to you.
Okay, now we've got here decide on the project type, size and location. How do you do that? What do you look for? Let's start with location. We'll go to the end one first. How do you select a location? What do you look for?
Well, I often say, well, the things you're looking for, obviously you're looking for property that can be developed. In other words, it's the right sort of zoning. So you're looking for areas where there actually is development happening.
So what do you do there? Like, do you just drive around? Do you go to the council websites? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I always say, look, start where you live first and go from there. It might not be the right place, but it might be.
So you do rings around where you live and just venture out until you find something?
Look, just from a logistics point of view, if you're developing close to where you live, well, first of all, logistically it's close, so it's easier, with less travelling. You know the area, there's probably a reason why you live where you live, and you would know, all the infrastructure, the shops, the schools, the transport and all of that. You'd also know what areas are maybe better, even in the same suburb, you've got better areas than others, and you'd see development happening because you're out there. So that's not a bad place to start. It might not be the perfect place. There might not be much development happening where you are. You might live in such an expensive area that you actually can't develop where you live. You might have to develop
can't afford it
out a bit. You have to move out a bit. So
unless you did it as joint ventures or options, etc.
Yeah, well then it doesn't matter. Yeah, great. Yeah. So you're looking for areas where there's development happening. So I never like being a pioneer. I never want to be the first person in to do anything. So we're looking at what sort of development. Well, when you see blocks of land, when you see an old house come down and two new ones go up, where you see maybe an old house and something dropped in the backyard, you can see little subdivisions are happening, land's being cut, even if it's just been cut in two.
And probably a good idea at that point is then to go and do a reverse feasibility on those projects that you see popping up. We'll say, let's say, are they making money? How much money did they make? What did they buy it for? All of that kind of stuff. So you can really start to paint the picture of what's around you and what your expectations would be if you went out and did one.
Yeah, and so I always say, don't tackle a whole city first up.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Particularly Brisbane's big enough where I live, but Sydney, it's
huge.
There's markets within markets within markets in Sydney. So, so I pick an area. I say pick an area. How big's an area? Look, it could be a council area. It could be 2 or 3 suburbs or whatever. And some suburbs are as big as a regional town. But become the local expert. What you need to do is dig deep. Become an expert on an area, not just to skim across the top on a very big area. Narrow your focus down and become, I call it the local expert. You really need to know what is the zonings in this area that allow me to do more. Where are they? Things like zoning maps and who are the movers and the shakers? Who are the top agents? You know, talked about finding the right agents before. Who are they? How do we find them? Nail them down, meet them, talk to them, and know what land sells for, know what end product sells for. What's a 3-bedroom, 2-storey townhouse sell for? What does sites sell for? Which goes back to exactly what Dimna says, the reverse engineering. Any sale that happens in your patch, you need to know about it. What did it sell for?
You need to go through it. Go and look at the property, you know, see what finishes they had, all that sort of stuff.
That is actually fun. Going through, if you can go through any finished product, any open, I say an open house, but I mean an open townhouse or an open apartment. Brilliant. That you will learn more by doing that. You'll meet the people that are selling it, who are the people who probably sell sites, and you will need to sell your product. You can see what's in there. You see the standard of finish. And if you talk to that agent and what I call disarming them from their sales thing, because once you tell them, hey, look, I'm not here to buy anything. I'm actually a developer. And you got any sites for sale? I'm looking for any. Okay, let's keep in contact about that. But listen, you're selling this. Tell me a bit about it. And you can start, you know, even there you can find out who the architect was, even traffic, how many are going through. I say, what do people like? What's the big feature that people really like about this? And you say, oh, it's this or it's that. And I say, well, what don't they like? Oh, you know, it's a $600,000 townhouse and he's got a laminate bench top. Should be at least Caesar stone. Or the 3rd bedroom is really like a big study. It's not a bedroom. Or this or that. And you're starting to learn a lot. Take photos. If you think this is a killer sort of bathroom or killer kitchen, or he's said about some features that are really selling well, take photos. Yep. Keep in contact with those people. Dig deep. Become the local expert. Know the movers and the shakers. Know what size. What size townhouses should they be? Different areas, different sizes.
And different colour schemes, different everything, you know. And what I like to do there is collate files. The accountant coming out of me. No, but collate files on you know, the good features and what is sold and who the agent was and the comments that are made, and capture it at the time. Don't wait a week to actually write it down. You know, create a little thing on your iPad or in a file on your computer or whatever, so you can actually just type down those notes about things, because even the mere fact of actually either writing it down or committing it to words, you know, you retain that information better, and it's also something you can go back to. If you keep the photographs and the notes and the people and the contacts and everything in that file, and then if you can, do the reverse feasibility on that project as well, you are learning so much from that. I mean, we could sit up here on stage all day and tell you how to do stuff, but you got to get out there and do it. You are going to learn more by actually getting down and dirty with a project, and the more hypothetical stuff you can do like that, the more experienced you are when you go and do your first one. Because it's not learning completely from the beginning, because you've done all of that background work as if you were the developer on all of those projects, and you know the figures and you know the people and you've talked to them and you've walked through the properties and you've seen why that one sold quicker than this one here, and watch those properties. You know, check the days on the market, and when you see that it's sold, you know, go and ring up the agent and say, hey, you know, you remember me? I went through the whatever on the open house. You know, how did you go with it? I'm really interested in what they actually ended up getting, how much discounting happened. You know, did you have a few buyers there? Really create the whole picture around things, because if you can do that, when you go to do your own, you are going to be streets ahead.
The weekend's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic, more than I ever anticipated. A lot of work. People need to come prepared to events like this, and but also be prepared to be rewarded. One of the most specific things that I've got out of this weekend is not just the information I've received from Dimna, but that information is magnificent and has really clarified a lot of real estate issues. But it's been the contacts with the financial guidance and the legal guidance and all the other elements associated with the peripheral elements of real estate investing that I think have been equally as rewarding. If I had have known this information, had these contacts years ago when I was investing in certain strategies and doing certain things, it would have literally saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I find that you don't just think about, you know, what you're getting from the real estate knowledge aspect. The ancillary elements of what you're getting are equally as important, if not more important. I've been to a couple of Dimpness seminars before and never signed up. I was one of the guys that always go to the seminar, get the information, but always procrastinate about signing up for the event. And this is another really important thing, I think. The money that Dimpner charges for these courses, I know a lot of people balk at that and they question the value of that. As I've just mentioned, the money that I would have saved from the ancillary information I've received already overwhelms any kind of fee that she has charged or could charge for it, regardless of all of the real estate information that I've now garnered as well. So the value is exponential by hundreds in reality. I've always been reasonably confident with it, but when things go pear-shaped, it knocks your confidence back down, you get back up and you go again. We've all had pear-shaped investments, well, most people have. Now getting this information and knowing that the information's progressed so much over the years, getting it at the cutting edge, getting it right at the front edge of what's happening now in today's market in real time, that's what lifts your confidence. You know now that you can step out and you can work with the right people and you can get the right properties, do the right thing with them and be guided along the way. You can't put a value on that if you're an active property investor. As I sit here today, there was just no other way to do it. Get the information as quickly as you can, get the right information, engage the right people and activate yourself into the market. One of the most, I guess, illuminating things that have come out of this weekend has been that there are really good analysis tools available to you now and professional people who have tried and tested these tools that you can actually engage and work with just to go from point A to point B, not just quickly, with speed and more quickly, but with a lot more confidence and clarity, and that's worth volumes. If you're considering property investing, go to a one-day seminar, sign up at the end of the day, get the information, and then if you can't go and do something constructive with it, it's your own fault, because this is the best information available that I've found.